are you saying that women can't lead?
They shouldn't.
Shouldn't in any capacity?
No, in any capacity, because
So not in corporate America.
No. They shouldn't lead.
Wow.
Yeah, women.
That's a big statement, man. Like,
yeah, they shouldn't, because the men are there. Maybe when the men are not there, the women can lead.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how can a woman lead a man? She cannot enforce anything. She can't. The leader needs to be able to have the power to enforce. If I have to come to you to enforce,
why doesn't a woman have the power to enforce?
Because she's not physically able to enforce it.
Oh, so you're saying it boils down to physical confrontation, physical strength.
America is not the greatest power in the world. It's not a superpower because you guys know how to talk. You guys are the greatest superpower because when you say something, you can back it up.
Yeah.
So if I say I'm coming to Iraq, and that guy who's the president starts fearing because you get there.
Yeah.
Okay? Mm-hmm. And the bigger you get there, the more freaked out they're going to be. But when a woman is giving instructions, so what if I don't follow those instructions? What is she going to do?
Hmm. Can she not exert her force in other ways?
How?
Financially.
They don't make enough money.
Well, if a woman is in the charge of a company, CEO of a company.
So she has to be very masculine for her to be able to play that game.
Okay.
So she has to do away with her femininity. So she almost has to stop being a woman to be able to handle that situation. And even at that, it's still going to be a problem because men don't just give in to women. Yeah, so there's going to be some pushback.
But is the woman that achieves that then, is she not fully a woman at that point? Meaning like she's embracing all aspects of herself to overcome the challenge of the physical nature of men?
She's a woman. But yes, so you're right. Yeah, so she's had to do away with some of her traits as a woman to embrace this newfound, what do you call it, power that she wants to pick up. Yeah, so she has to do away with some parts of her being a woman. That's why you find even educated women are like that. So you find it's very boring talking to them because now there's no woman inside there. Like in America, man, like when I go to your pubs out here, so the women are very beautiful, but the femininity does not exist, bro.
Why? What do you mean?
There's no woman inside.
I don't get that.
She's so conditioned to making decisions and living by herself and doing all these things for herself that she has had to become a man. Because ideally, there's a separation. Women do some things and men do some things. But now in countries like America, when you have, there's no separation anymore. So now that's why you have all these soft-looking guys and these hard-looking women, and nobody knows whether they're men or women or going or coming, and all that nonsense is happening there. So because the strength of the man was taken away, and as long as there's no strength of the man, then it's like there's no man.
What's the risk to all of this for you? So when you say, like, in your opinion, so you're saying if women are taking over, if women are in positions of strength, or men are worshiping women, so what do you envision being the fallout, the downside, the result of that society?
So number one is men are going to be fucked up because you see the court system really likes to have men in there through child support or domestic violence or whatever other stupid shit they can come up with. Okay? So the man is one who's suffering now. The woman seems to be winning, but in the end, the woman loses. And so what's happening is a lot of men, especially in my country, they just did a research and they said men are no longer getting into marriage. So the numbers have plummeted. We were doing well, but now the men are deciding enough. So it could be because of me, or it could be because of this new message, or it could be because of what we have seen in our society.
Sure. Yeah.
So now marriage is going to go down. Men are going to learn to live by themselves, which is a very dangerous thing for our society, when men live by themselves. Not because these men are dangerous, but because these men are no longer taking care of women. So the women are going to get very desperate. And what does desperation lead to? They're going to become promiscuous. They're going to try and do as much as they can. Now you see they're selling their bodies on Instagram. Right? On social media, they're doing whatever it takes to get this attention because women live off men's attention. They don't live off women's attention. They live off men's attention. So if the men stop saying hi to them, stop catcalling and stop showing them their attention, then these women are going to get depressed. Now, did you know that in America, 1 out of every 4 women, especially in the black community, are on, 3 out of 4 are on antidepressants.
Is that right? In the black community or just
Yes.
women in general?
I don't know whether it's women in general, but I know in the black community it's very high. So,
Wow.
yeah. So imagine that.
Yeah.
When you see 4 women, somewhere 3 of them are popping pills. That's madness, bro.
What is that from?
From childhood trauma.
And that's so bringing back in gender roles. So you're talking about, so they have childhood trauma because there was not strong men in the household because women were leading the households?
Yes, and women tend to put a lot of trauma in children when they're raising them by themselves.
Why?
Because of the noise.
What do you mean?
Women fuck up kids when they raise them alone. Okay?
Why though? Like what do they do?
Because women are very emotional. So if you are the baby daddy, so she's annoyed at you. She's annoyed at this thing that keeps reminding her of how annoyed at you she is. So her selfishness at some point is going to kick in and she's going to try and destroy the boy or the girl, whoever it is. That's what you find when a woman is a single mother. Chances are very high that her daughter, if she has a daughter, the daughter will be a single mother. And not just a single mother earlier than her. So if she was a single mother at 17, her daughter will be at 16.
Let me ask this, like on that. Can women be happy without a man?
Impossible.
Can men be happy without a woman?
100%.
Why? Like that's interesting to me. Why is that the case?
Because we don't need them to survive.
Don't we though?
No, we don't. We don't need them to survive.
But women need men to survive.
Yes, women cannot survive by themselves.
Is this law of nature or is it law of human nature? Is it black white? Is this lions? Is this lambs? Is this every animal mammal?
Yes, without the male, then the female will disappear very very quickly.
Okay.
Even with the lions, the lionesses can hunt, but without the male, all of them are in jeopardy of, unless they stay together longer than they really have to.
How are they in jeopardy without the male?
Because any other male can come in and do whatever he wants with them.
Oh,
so they're not strong enough to stop even a weak male. You see?
Yeah.
Like, take for example, like the U.S. football team went to play some team, God knows where, probably in Honduras or somewhere. These guys were in high school, 17, 15 years old boys. And the U.S. female team they couldn't stand to play with these boys. Right now, I can tell you, the Texas basketball team, the male basketball team, can beat the U.S. basketball team female. That's how much more stronger the male is than the female. Like if today, if there was a UFC fight, do you watch UFC?
I have, yeah, sure.
How long do you think a woman, the strongest woman in the world, would survive with someone like Conor
McGregor or whomever, right?
or that Nigerian monster.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know well enough, I guess, but yeah, I would guess that. Yeah, I would if I'm putting money on that fight, it's not lasting long.
Maybe 20 seconds.
I don't know.
And 20 seconds goes maybe
yeah.
10 to get to her.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't take long.
Right.
So women do not have the power.
But do they need it in this society, in civilized society? Like, in other words, I go back to, caveman days or whatever. I get that. I get what you're saying in that regard, right? Like, so if you don't have the physical strength to protect from more of a primal sort of threat, right? Then you need physical strength to ward off that primal threat. But in this world, maybe in the US, UK, anywhere in the world for that matter, but any developed place or even developing place, is it as necessary? Like, does physical strength matter? Do the roles need to be in place because physical strength isn't as...
For the raising of the children, physical strength is important.
Why? Why is it important?
Because the kids have to know where the power is. They cannot assume that the power is with the woman. Because as long as they have that assumption, then the kids don't grow up balanced. Because the kids needs to be disciplined.
Yeah. And
that discipline only comes from the man. So it's not good for the kids for our women to be strong. Our women just need to be women. So the kids can be able to separate the two. Okay? And our men need to be the men. Okay, look at what happened in the pandemic. America was shut down.
Yeah.
You guys managed to shut down a whole country with over 500-600 million people. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Who was moving around?
I don't know.
Yeah, who was making sure your internet is working, who was making sure your water is piped, who was making sure your gas is there, your food gets to you. Right? The first people to fold were the women. All these useless jobs we've given them, receptionist and whatever, and all these sales nonsense jobs that they could have done from anywhere, those are not real jobs. These are jobs we've created to make them feel good. But when it comes down to it, the real jobs can only be done by men. So these other jobs are good and they make women feel good, like accounting. We don't need accounting.
No, why not?
No, we don't need it. I mean, anyone who has a brain can do their own accounting.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm getting in this, I'm giving out that. What is left is what is mine, right?
Sure.
So there are a lot of places we don't need them. We did put them in the workplace, but we don't need them in the workplace. Because whatever job they're doing can be done maybe 3-4 times better than by a man.
What about like a nurse?
But men are still better nurses.
But women disproportionately represent that, like that they're most nurse.
Yes, because that's the, what do you call, the road of least resistance. So like now when
not being a doctor, you mean?
Of course.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Who's going to be a doctor?
Yeah.
You don't have to study as much to be a nurse. And then when my Kenyan people from Africa, when you come from Africa and land in the States, the first job you're told to get, make sure you become a nurse.
Oh, really?
So it's the easiest job to get.
Wow.
Right?
That's interesting.
And it's the easiest job to do away with. You don't need nurses, do you?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like you do, but I'd need to. I couldn't make a smart enough argument to say, well, here's the 5 reasons why.
There are a lot of things America developed for themselves that have no value anywhere else in the world.
You don't have nurses in Kenya?
No, we do, but okay. Look, let's put it this way: it's a job that can be done by any gender. Okay, it's a job that does not need any gender can do it. So we know one thing about men is men become very obsessive about their vocations, which means they become better. Look at you, what you're doing with your podcast. Look at me, what I'm doing with my podcast.
Sure.
I'm obsessive about it. I go crazy about it. I was here an hour before you know, because I was excited.
Right.
Yeah. So we're obsessive and we tend to grow and we look for opportunities as long as there's no noise in our heads. But being an ass, anyone can be an ass, bro.
Sure.
Yes. So the jobs that only you can do, our men are not doing. Because if I can be like Usain Bolt, where I'm the best in what I do, then already I'm attractive to everybody.
Yeah.
But now imagine you're an accountant. Nobody gives a shit about your life. Yeah, nobody cares what you do, bro. You open your mouth, say you're an accountant, people say thank you. You sit down. Open your mouth and say you're a podcaster. Oh, what podcast do you have?
Right.
And now everybody's suddenly excited.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does it make sense?
It does. Yeah.
Yes.
I get that. Yeah. I mean, I think what you're talking about, what you're saying, especially in our culture, is like highly, highly controversial, right? It's the opposite of everything anybody else is saying right now about women. Maybe you don't know, but like women have talk about gender pay inequity, right? That's a big topic. Pay gap between men and women for similar jobs. The ability for women to have any career they want, even people training their girls now, because we feel like in this country, at least, we feel like what you're talking about was an unenlightened teaching to girls, and it boxed them into being less than their full potential because we told them in the 80s or 70s or 60s that grow up, be a wife, be a mother, and that's your role. Do that. Which, does that lead to depression? Does that lead to the fact that, well, I can't fulfill my dreams because I'm told I have to have certain roles? Is that what's depressing women, right? Like, that's the sort of discussion that's out there. So do you get a lot of pushback?
So right now you're 42.
I'm 44.
44?
Yeah.
All right. I'm 46.
Yeah.
Did your mother go to school?
2 years.
Your mother?
College. Yeah. 2 years of college.
I mean, she went to primary school.
Oh, she went to high school.
So, I mean, she went to elementary.
Yeah.
High school, the whole thing. Then she went to college for 2 years.
I think so.
Whatever she did in college.
Oh,
So your mom wasn't oppressed?
No.
My mom wasn't oppressed.
Yeah.
So who are these people who've been oppressed?
Well, I guess the question would be, was my mom conditioned to be a mom and a wife?
By who?
By her parents, her mom and dad, because that's the role of the woman,
Yes.
at least in that time,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so is she oppressed in some way? Meaning, like, well, I guess this is all I can be, so that's what I'll do. And if she had other ambitions and couldn't realize those, is that not her being oppressed?
Like now, the job that you do.
Yep.
What is your job?
I don't know.
It's to be able to look at the potential in people.
Sure.
And try and bring it out. Because there is that part in human beings where other people have been given a special eye. They can see what other people can't see. Okay?
Yep.
And sometimes those people are your parents.
Sure.
So in Africa, we had a tradition where if the girl was no good, then the father would have to be honest enough with the man who wanted her in marriage and tell her, hey, listen. I mean, and tell the guy, hey, listen, I'm not sure about this girl. I mean, you want a girl, you can take the other one. That one is good.
Right.
She has good manners, but this one is a hoe. So we have to be honest. So our mothers were not oppressed. They never used to take all these antidepressants that our women are taking now. So when I look at the happiness index, they were happier then than we are now.
So you're saying that societally we put a pressure on women to go outside of where, how would I put it? Are you seeing like societally now we're pressuring women to do things to be more in more male-dominated type of roles, which is creating the depression?
Yes, and women are losing their shit because they're not built for that. A woman is not built for an 8 to 5. Having to deal with all manner of men in this, imagine your wife having to go deal with men out there in the office.
She did for a number of years, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, imagine what energy she's bringing to your house every day when she's doing that. Okay, so how is your marriage going to survive when she's getting energy from somebody else, not from you?
Yeah.
So we have fucked up. We put our women in a position where we're telling them, go out there and be whatever the fuck you want to be, but it's not good for them. It's like when your kid wants to eat sweets before they go to bed.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid wants it.
Sure.
The kid is crying, can even cry. And if you were to take a video of that kid at that moment, you would look like the worst parent.
Giving a lollipop to the kid right before.
No.
Oh, not giving it to them because they're crying and screaming.
If we were to record you saying no to your kid when they're crying and we don't know what the context of that conversation is, then you look like a bad parent.
Right.
But you know what's good for your kid.
Sure.
And you know this kid, like my son every time he takes sweets, he's sick the next day. So if I see him taking a sweet, then a beating would help him tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm not beating him because I don't love him. I'm beating him because, in fact, I love him a lot. So I don't want the problem that's going to happen tomorrow if I can deal with it today.
Interesting.
So even with our women, we know women are happiest when they are mothers and grandmothers.
What do you mean you know they are?
Because we have seen the
evidence.
The evidence is there.
What polling or that sort of thing.
Yes, but even in life.
Yeah.
And we see how depressed the ones who don't have that become. Like now, for example, if a woman has one child, and this boy goes and becomes a homosexual, she'll never know what grandkids are. Or the lady goes and becomes a lesbian. Now, who's going to fuss over her when she's in her 60s, 70s, 80s? How will her life look then?
Yeah.
She doesn't want people who are going to be fussing. Hey, grandma, have you eaten? Grandma this, grandma that. That's what the work of the grandkids, to fuss over their grandparents. Okay? So that is being taken away from the black people. We are taking that away. And now we've created this system where the woman gives birth to one child and that child gives birth to another child. So now that's all they know. So there's a woman who is broke as fuck, living in a Section 8 housing. So she's not living the American dream because Section 8 housing is poverty.
Right.
She's not living the American dream. She's having to go for food stamps and fight all these social justice wars and, Wakanda forever and Black Lives Matter and all that other crap. And she still has to come home and be a mother to this ancient child who's indisciplined, who's going to go sleep around again and bring her another child. So now there are going to be 3 girls in one house with no future whatsoever. And how does that look for the society?